Hey everybody, it looks like Kevin McCarthy is going to be leaving the U.S. House at the end of the year. There were some rumors of this happening, so it's not the biggest shock, but still, McCarthy, the former speaker, his tenure in Congress is about to come to an end. There's a lot of different ways you could look at it. Mostly, I would say it's a failure. He was speaker for one of the shortest times in U.S. history, and I'm sure we all wish him well in his next chapter. A lot of the Trump base is going to be celebrating, but I think the Democrats are also going to be celebrating because they did vote to remove him. They're not a fan of any of the impeachment stuff against Biden, and plus he's a Republican. The other side is always going to be thrilled to see their opposition lose a member. So you can read about that here if you'd like. But as we head into the winter, we've got 4 upcoming special elections for the U.S. House. Let's try to go through them really quick. We're going to come back to McCarthy, but let's start with George Santos. There's a chance you heard he was expelled last week. There was enough Republican support to meet the 2/3 majority, so he's done. So we're going to look at that special election, and that one is coming up the fastest. That's on February 13th. The disappointing thing for me is there are no primaries in this special election. It's one where the party bosses just choose the nominee. But either way, it's only going to be to finish the remainder of this term. And there's a list of potential candidates here. The one I'm most looking at for the Democrats is Tom Suozzi. He already held this seat until he decided to run for governor last time. He challenged Kathy Hochul in the primary. He didn't win. He's out of a job. This looks like a prime opening for Suozzi if he wants to get back into politics. So let's look at this 3rd congressional district. This is out there on Long Island. It's a wealthy district. It covers Nassau County, and it's kind of competitive. It has a D+2 from the Cook PVI. Now, if we look at the recent statewide results, we do have to keep in mind there was redistricting, but in 2020, it voted for Biden by 10, 54-44. Now, if we go down and see what George Santos did in 2022, he did pull off kind of an unexpected win, and it was not even by the skin of his teeth. He got it with almost 54% of the vote. But before that, Tom Suozzi, he won this thing with 56%. So that is an even bigger gap, so that looks precarious for the Republicans. Here's a CBS News article. This will outline a little bit more about this race, but if it is Tom Suozzi, or even if it's not Suozzi, I think the low popularity of George Santos and any of the anger surrounding his scandals, that I think is going to be a boon for the Democrats. It probably caused us to flip blue again. I know there's some Santos fans out there, but as far as the electoral side goes, it's not a guarantee given the low popularity of Biden and the Democrats at the top of the ticket, but given what happened with Santos and the makeup of this district, it seems like this should flip, but we'll see what happens. Now let's keep it in New York and go on to the next district, and that's with Brian Higgins. There he is right here. He's apparently going to be stepping down in a couple of months. He's been in there a while, over 18 years, and he represents the 26th district. So let's check that one out. This is in Western New York. It covers Buffalo and Niagara Falls. And Cook PVI has it as a D+9. If we look at 2020, it voted for Biden overwhelmingly, 62-35. And if we look at the most recent election, we can see Brian Higgins. He won it with no trouble whatsoever. He got 64% of the vote. The northern part of that district even went red. But this is not going to be on the radar for the Republicans. The margin should be a little bit narrower, given it's going to be an open seat. So most of the focus is going to be on the Democrats. I'll bring up an article right here that discusses more about this seat and who are the potential contenders to replace Higgins. And like in every video, all the links will be down below in the description. So let's go from New York all the way out west and talk about Kevin McCarthy. In case you forgot what he looked like, there he is right here. He's got his official speaker portrait, and maybe it's just me, but I always thought it was a little bit tacky to have a microphone in your official portrait. Anyway, moving on, McCarthy is out. He's gonna have his base of support, but for the most part, I think the party passed him by. He tried to hang on as long as he could, bridge the gap between the establishment and the Trump base. Ultimately, it didn't really pan out. He ran into some problems on Ukraine, so it's gonna be a mixed legacy, but one thing he'll always have on his resume is that he actually was the speaker for a little while, and I guess nobody can take that away from him. So what about his district? It's California's 20th. It covers Bakersfield, and it's in the Central Valley. And if you take a look at the shape of this district close up, this is a very ugly district. I think California went under the radar as a gerrymandered state, but either way, this is a Republican district. Cook has it at R+16. And again, there was redistricting, there was renumbering since prior to the midterms. But if we look at what happened in 22, this is clearly a Republican district. They voted for Brian Dahle for governor by almost 70%. And for the U.S. Senate, Mark, I think that's Moisier, he got just under that. Democrats had no chance here. Now, if we take a look and see what McCarthy did last time, all the way down here at the bottom, he got a similar margin. He pulled in 67% of the vote. So this is one that should not at all be in contention for the Democrats, and all the focus is going to be on the Republican side. And if you're looking for potential candidates to replace McCarthy, here's an LA Times article. If you're from the state or definitely from this district, you're going to want to take a look at this and see who might represent you in the future. Apparently, Devin Nunes is a name even being thrown around, but the rest of these candidates are down below. It's too early to say what's going to happen, and given that it's not a competitive district, I'm not going to spend that much time on it, but it will be interesting to see who the Republicans put up. Is it going to be a Trump Republican? Is it going to be a McCarthy Republican? That's going to be the big question, and that takes us to the final special election. For that one, we've got to go out to Ohio. So we've got Bill Johnson. He's got another position lined up, so he's calling it quits. He seems to be mostly behind Donald Trump, so we've got to take a look at his district and see who might replace him. So that is Ohio's 6th. That is mostly in the eastern part of the state. It touches West Virginia and Pennsylvania. Now, is this district competitive? No, it's not. It's an R+16 according to the Cook PVI. And last time, Bill Johnson, he did similar to what McCarthy did out in California. He got about 68% of the vote. All those counties, solid red. Now, this district does go all the way up into Mahoning County and cut into part of Youngstown. That's the only blue area. So there is some gerrymandering, as that is going to be the blue part of the district. But other than that, the race is going to be on to see who's going to replace Johnson. So for that, I've got another local article. Feel free to look through this. There's a chance you're going to know more about these candidates than I do. But again, we got to see if it's a full-on Trump Republican. But given that it is Ohio and a deep red district in the Rust Belt, it would seem like it's going to be somebody that lines up to be all in for Trump. You never know what's going to happen in a primary with funding and endorsements, plus the potential for runoffs. But that wraps up these 4 upcoming special elections. There's a nice table here on Wikipedia if you want a quick overview. And the only one we know the date of for sure is going to be the Santos district. That's coming up in a couple of months. The other 3 we're waiting on dates, but also those 3 are still technically in office, and the Santos district is also the only one that is probably going to flip. The other 3 are not expected to be competitive, so those 3 are all going to come down to the primaries. For the Democrats, it's going to be the usual divide between progressive and establishment, and the Republicans between Trump and also the establishment. So we'll see what happens, but that's a quick overview of some of the shuffling in the House. Let me know in the comments, what do you think about any of these elections? Are you surprised about McCarthy stepping down? How about Santos? Is that district going to flip? Who's going to be the nominee? Let me know down below on your way out. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Join if you'd like to support the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.